everybody. My main man, Danny Prada, is here on the Tyler Hill podcast. He is a guy that we've wanted to have on here for a little while. He was on the original list of guests I had to have here. We've collaborated on projects in the past, and we were just off mic talking about projects in the future. I want to collaborate with him because I want to be like him. I want to do some of the things he does. He is a spiritual powerhouse, a good guide, and is becoming a dear friend. Danny, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. I
You're
am really grateful to be hanging out with you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Where
Yeah.
uh where do we find you this evening?
I am in my home in sunny South Florida, even though it's pouring outside right now.
It is also pouring here in the mountains of Colorado. We've had 6 or 7 straight days of just afternoon rain, which here is very welcomed. I don't know how you sunny people welcome the rain or not, but here in Colorado, it keeps the fires at bay, and so we're welcoming the rain up here.
Yeah, I'm all good with the rain as long as I'm home.
Yeah,
So
that's fair. That's
thankfully, I'm
fair.
home. I hope it rains all night.
I love it. Um, of course, we're going to talk about work. We're going to talk about your spiritual pursuits, what you do in your community, and all of that. But you and I both know we are more than what we do. We're more than our vocation and our work. So before we get into all that, let's just say you had 2 or 3 days, you had some free time, you had 500 extra dollars to spend. You have to spend it. This is only for Danny. What are you doing with your free time? What makes you come alive? No work talk. What makes Danny Danny when he's got his free time to do whatever he pleases?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm probably being extra lazy to be honest.
Okay.
Waking up a little late, having some good morning coffee, make some eggs and Cuban toast.
Okay.
Then I'll probably hit the gym. And then if I had to spend $500, I mean, I'm gonna take myself out to eat somewhere really nice,
Okay.
probably on the beach somewhere.
Yep.
Maybe go get a massage or something. I'm a spa day kind of guy,
Love it.
and with that, man, then I would do some reading when I get home and maybe binge watch something fun on Netflix.
Yeah. What you watching these days?
Oh, wow. I just started watching this show on Prime. I think it's called The Better Sister.
Okay.
And that one with Jessica Biel has been really good. And then I finished another one and I'm blanking on the name of it, but if I remember, I'll let you know because it
Okay.
was pretty dope.
It'll come
Oh,
out.
it's gonna come to me. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix and it's called Sirens.
Okay. There it is. I've not even heard of that one.
And that one was good too.
Okay. I love it. So we're chilling. We're a spa day kind of guy. You know, it's so funny. We're gonna jump right into this, and then we'll get into some of your hobbies later. I had a guy on the podcast a couple weeks ago. His name was Dan the Doorman Hugel. He used to be an enforcer for a whole bunch of different gangs and the Mexican mob and all this, and his whole life changed. So he's like you're fit, but this dude is like
Next level.
giant, terrifying. Put your kids on the other side, and yet he's become the kindest, most gentle person in the world. But I asked him the same question, and we're talking huge, like an enforcer, the whole thing. And the first thing he said is, "I'd take a bath." And I said, I love that because here we go, right? You're handsome, you're strong, you're the epitome of a strong man. And yet here you are, you said, I'm going to the spa, baby. Talk to me about like that goes counterculture to the maybe stereotypical masculine archetype.
Yeah.
What talk about masculinity for a minute. Tell me how that journey has evolved for you. Man, I'm about a massage also.
Uh,
But that's countercultural to what we were probably taught as young men, what men should look like, do, and be. Talk to me a little bit about that, what that looks like for you, what that masculine journey has been.
something I've noticed and picked up through my experience is that what a lot of men believe masculinity to be is very performative.
Hmm.
And it's about giving the impression of confidence and dominance. But all it is just a mask.
Yes.
and the real thing. And
Mm.
so once you start tapping into what it truly means to be strong and powerful and courageous, which
Yes.
doesn't come from trying to dominate others, but living a life of service towards others, living a life of devotion to truth,
Yes.
it's a lot easier to discern the true from the false.
Mm.
And I can always tell when there's an imbalanced man in front of me
Mm.
and there's an inability for them to simply be themselves.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I do. I do.
And uh and so that's probably a great place to start
Yeah.
with all of this when it comes to the conversation about masculinity. It's like, hey, what are we trying to put on for?
Yeah.
If we're making this about an image, then we're missing the whole point of what true masculinity is about,
Mm.
because a true man is able to get radically authentic with himself,
Yes.
be ruthlessly honest
Mm.
about one's own character, about one's deviation from integrity, about one's misalignment,
Yeah.
to be real about one's emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to see a real man,
Hmm.
show me somebody who has mastered their emotions. Show
Yeah.
me somebody who is not overruled by anger and by lust.
Hmm.
It's not about conquering others, it's about conquering yourself,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
And so that's the movement that I see between like true divine masculine energy and the falsity that we see
Yes.
in our culture
Hmm.
that portrays itself as masculinity, but really isn't.
Man, we're 5 minutes in, we're already done.
Let's go.
That's so good, dude. Um, what does that look like? So here I am. Let's just say I'm listening here to the Tyler Hill podcast, you
Mhm,
know, feeling very insecure about my own masculinity. I mean, I've
mhm,
been there in real life. I'm
mhm,
sure you've been there too.
mhm.
And we hear Dr. Danny say, it's about going inward. It's about conquering yourself. How does one even start that kind of journey to say, okay, yeah, that's awesome. That sounds ethereal. That sounds good, but like here I am. I can't stop watching porn. I hate
Mhm,
everybody that looks different than me.
mhm,
I'm, trying to control my kids and my wife and all my employees. I'm filled with rage. I'm simmering at an 8 all the
mhm.
time. How do I even start going inward? What does that even mean? What does that even look like?
Yeah. Wow. Well, it'd probably be helpful for you to get a therapist
Okay, that's a good
or
start.
or a spiritual care director
Yes,
or
yes.
a spiritual director. Um,
Yep.
but there's a lot that we can also do on our own. Some of us may not feel equipped to do that, and there's no shame in asking for help. That's a great first step, huh?
Yep. Yes.
Ask for help if you need it. But for me, it comes down to self-awareness.
Hmm.
And self-awareness means I am not going to allow, as far as is in my power, anything within me to remain in the darkness. I'm going
Yes.
to bring what's in the dark to the light.
Yep.
So I've got to get honest with myself about the ways I'm in denial,
Hmm.
the ways I justify and excuse myself living
Yes.
out of integrity.
Yes.
It's a full 100% devotion to truth, which means you're not going to let yourself get away with anything.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Right. So first we have to figure out and get very clear about what our standard is.
Yeah. Wow.
Right. And so for me, truth is synonymous with love. And I learned that from Jesus.
Hmm.
And so my highest standard is love. And I don't let myself get away with being less than loving.
Yes. Mm.
So I mess up all the time.
Yep.
I don't reach that standard all the time.
Yep.
But when I don't, I am real with myself about that.
Yep.
And I make the adjustments that I need to.
Hmm.
And I course correct. So
Hmm.
self awareness. And then once you bring everything into self awareness, the next step is self-acceptance.
Hmm.
Instead of denying those parts of us that we wish were not there, or instead of repressing certain emotions that we don't really want to deal with because
Yep.
it's too tough and it's too hard. Because again, when it comes to like a lot of these habits that you said and unhealthy patterns that men fall into, a
Yep.
lot of us we only look at the symptoms, but we don't ever get down to the root.
Yes.
And the root is always about something other than behavior, which is the symptom. The
Yep.
root is about identity.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so we got to go deep down within ourselves and ask ourselves the tough questions about how we perceive ourselves to be,
Yep.
the identities, the stories, the labels, the narratives that we've taken on
Mm.
as identities
Yes.
that are something other than our true self,
Hmm.
God.
Yes. Mm.
And so once you bring all of that to the surface, it's about learning how to be compassionate
Wow.
and understanding towards yourself. And then you'll start to realize instead of beating yourself up and guilting yourself for your unhealthy patterns, you start getting curious about these things because you're approaching yourself from a place of acceptance
Yes.
and compassion. And then you start growing in your understanding of yourself. And that's really how transformation happens. It's when we're able to understand ourselves in a broader, more expansive way.
Hmm.
That's it. It's just you understand where certain dysfunction comes from, which means now you can do something about it.
Yes. Mm.
So it's self awareness first, then it's
Yep.
self acceptance, and then comes self actualization, which is you being able to live into the fullness of who you are in God,
Hmm.
live into the fullness of your human potential, and you're able to integrate what psychologists call your shadow,
Hmm.
which is all of that darkness in you.
Yep.
Again, the problem isn't that there's darkness in you, it's that you deny it's there.
Mm.
That's the real issue.
Wow.
So, to fully self actualize as a human being requires that you integrate every aspect of yourself and you're no longer ashamed
Mm-hmm.
of yourself.
Yep. Yes.
And that begins to have a healing effect. And
Mm.
then what you'll realize is out of your weaknesses, out of your faults, out of your failures, out of your wounds will come the best healing material that
Yes.
you'll have to offer other people in this world who
So
are
good.
experiencing similar things.
Yes. Mm. Yes. That's the that just that end part. I know you and I share an affection of Henry Nouwen and
Mm-hmm.
just his whole concept of the wounded healer. And I mean, and that's really what you just got to there. Danny, would you be willing to share at all what some of that process, however you feel comfortable, has looked like specifically in your life? Like, what were some of the spaces where you had to get honest and then begin this journey for you, right? It can be really easy to perceive Danny, the leader of an innovative community. He's a
Mm-hmm.
chaplain. He's cool as hell, like he knows all these things. But would you be willing to let us into your journey, at least one chapter of it that took you almost to this wounded healer place?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot I can share, some more recent, some not. I'll just pick one thing that's coming to my mind, and that has to do with my process of deconstruction.
Yep. Mm,
So I was handed a particular version of Christianity
mm,
that, after some time of reflection, stopped making a lot of sense to me.
mhm.
And when I moved out of uh, the evangelical spaces that I was inhabiting,
Yes.
and I began to embody a more liberative and open-minded and heart-centered kind of uh, Christian spirituality.
Yes.
I actually had a lot of anger and resentment towards those spaces that I just came out of.
Yep.
Just something that is quite common, not just with religion, but even in politics. Or this applies all across the board in many things when it comes to human beings. It's like we leave one group, we join another one, and immediately the last group we were in, we demonize.
Yes.
Those were the bad guys. I mean, if you asked me when I was, coming out of that deconstruction process about how I felt about evangelicals, oh my
Yep.
God, they, just not nice things,
Yes. Oh yeah.
and, um, and it would come out in my preaching. The energy of
Mm.
my teaching um, was really just as fundamentalist as it was when I was in those
I know it.
spaces that I was criticizing for being
Oh, do I
fundamental.
know it? Yes.
So I had to really, you know what did it for me? It was the relationships that I maintained with people from that world.
Wow.
They became so healing for me because some of those folks were like pastors, for example, who they could get some criticism for hanging out with Danny Prada. Actually,
Yep.
in our context here in
Hmm.
South Florida, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Wait a
Yes.
second, Danny? No, you're not. You're not hanging out with that dude, are you?
Yep. Mm.
So it was like, wait, that could come at a cost, but they still are extending a hand of friendship
Wow.
towards me. And then there were other folks in my life, even close family members who still strongly identified as evangelical and
Yep.
maintain certain beliefs, but were still willing to be in conversation with me and not try and change me or convince me, but genuinely befriend me.
Yes.
And then even in my congregation, I had a lot of those folks who were still rooted in evangelicalism, but happened to make their way to Heartway, and they're in conversation. And these relationships showed me, oh my goodness, this box that I've created
Mm.
for this entire people group, not everybody fits in
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
So maybe I should discard the box and let people speak for themselves and show me
Yep.
who they are for themselves
Wow.
instead of just putting this umbrella term over everyone and assuming that I know who they are.
Yes.
And
Mm.
so out of my wounding with religion, particularly evangelicalism, has now come this beautiful healing ministry of being able to serve people from all walks of life,
Hmm.
including more evangelically inclined individuals who make their way to my church.
Yep.
And I'm able to help them take baby steps towards
Wow.
what I feel is a more expansive and freeing version of Christian faith and spirituality.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm able to do that gently in a
Yes.
pastoral way instead of just how I was doing before, which is like, hey, I'm going to say what I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it. And if you're on board, you're going to come with me. And if you're not on board, you can get
Yeah.
off the bus.
Yes.
Now it's like, hey, wait a second. Why don't we all try and come along
Mm.
together?
So good. One of the ways when I'm working with clients in spiritual direction, I'll say, okay, they get out of their first boat, and I took a lot of this from Richard Rohr, obviously, as we all do, but
Yeah,
um, you know,
exactly.
they get out of their first boat, and then they get into their second boat, which is really beautiful, and we should endorse in many ways people got out of their first boat for good reasons. But
Yes.
then they just stand in the second boat and throw Molotov cocktails at the first boat when they never just set sail in the second one. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, listen, I'm so glad you got out of whatever space you needed to get out of. But like you can actually set sail in this second boat. You don't have to just throw rocks at the first one for the rest of your life. Because
Mm-hmm.
really, you didn't go very far just switching boats. And it's like just set sail, put the rocks down and set sail, you
Yes.
know? And maybe invite some people into the boat with you, just like you said. And um,
Yes.
yeah,
That's
so
so good.
often we can deconstruct our costumes but never deconstruct the scaffolding or the bones of the thing. And fundamentalism, no matter where it exists, is not helpful. Whether it's liberal or conservative, it does damage everywhere.
Yes, and I
Yes.
learned that the hard way,
Yes,
but
me too.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my life
Mm.
experiences and what they've shown me, and for the people who have stuck it out with me
Yes.
through
Hmm.
my journey of evolution. And um, yeah, I feel like I can speak to everybody, no matter where
Yep.
you are on the
Wow.
spectrum
Hmm.
of politics or theology, left and right,
Yep.
because I'm playing a different game.
Yep. So good. Would you be willing to share, Danny, what some of that journey has been like? Maybe this is a twofold question. I'm sure you speak into this a lot, but what kind of started to shift your spirituality? Like, was there a moment where the more contemplative or more spiritually expansive really began to um, manifest for you or become true? Secondly, like, you are still very Jesus inclined. You
Mhm,
haven't abandoned that language. You haven't abandoned the person. You haven't abandoned the teachings.
mhm.
And there's many people who I'm sure actually will be listening to this podcast who hear the word deconstruction and freak out, or, somebody like you might even be the enemy talking about deconstruction. And yet, you and many of the people you lead, many of the people that I work with, don't abandon their spirituality after deconstruction. They don't abandon Jesus. Um,
Mhm.
what was your deconstruction journey like? What started it? And why are you still a Christian, a Jesus person, someone that still holds these sacred texts and this person so dear to your person?
Man, you're asking all the good stuff.
Mhm.
I can go
Thank you.
on for a while about this.
Well, go for it.
But here's what I'll say. This is something I've communicated often. Love was the great deconstructor of my faith.
Mm,
I just had a hard time reconciling the notion of God as love with some of the Christian dogma
mhm,
that I felt I needed to uphold to be a Christian.
mhm,
And so little by little, I started to read outside of the bounds that I was placed in,
mhm,
and I would pick up some book from different authors. And along the way, I started realizing, my goodness, there is a scholar for every argument and for
mhm.
every perspective. And
Yes.
there are so many perspectives.
Mhm,
So I came from a background where it was like there's only one right way to interpret the scripture. Theology is only there's only one correct theology. You
mhm,
understand? And this is what it is.
mhm,
Then I started reading these professors from different divinity schools, and I'm just like, wait a second. This person is really smart, bunch of PhDs, written so many books, and they believe the complete opposite of this guy.
yep.
And then of in my library at home, because I love books, and
Mhm,
obviously, like you, I see in the back there. Um, but for a while, for years, I started collecting these books that were called Four Views
hmm,
or Three Views on all sorts of topics, on hell, on Christianity and other faiths, on prayer, on all the different topics, on the end times, and on interpreting the Bible. Well, each of these books had three, four, five views in each of them. So then it goes like my mind was like, okay, which one is right?
yep.
Which one is right? And the only thing that I had left to hold on to
Mhm,
was love. That was the only thing after just a rigorous theological and philosophical search for the right
mhm,
way to interpret.
mhm.
Did I lose you, Tyler?
I'm still here.
Okay, cool. So I was looking for, the one right way.
Mhm,
And there were so many different ways that seemed legitimate. So in my mind, I'm like, I give up.
yep.
And the only thing I could hold on to was love. But that giving up opened me in such a powerful way. It was like my reasoning
Mm,
capabilities uh, failed me. I felt
yes.
like I had taken this search for truth at a rational level to its finite degree for me.
Mhm,
And I was left with just on unknowing.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
like, I don't know.
Yes.
Who do I believe?
Hmm.
I don't know. But all I know is love. And so what happened was, at first, I was just asking all these questions, interpretive questions, especially around things concerning like hell and atonement and some of the nerdy theological stuff that,
Yep.
you know, I didn't feel like aligned with love, at least the versions of those teachings that I received. So I was asking all of these questions about the biblical text, about these key doctrines. And then I got to a point where it was like, wait a second, I don't have a need for answers anymore. You know,
Mm.
I was just like, I can keep asking all these questions to try and figure out what's right.
Yes.
That that experience that I'm trying to express of like my reasoning capabilities coming to their end just led me to this unknowingness and a comfortability with the unknowingness. It was like,
Mm.
I don't need to have the answer anymore.
Yeah.
And then, so that was the beginning of a process for me of engaging in contemplative knowing,
Hmm.
because within the Christian tradition, there have always been the mystics and the desert fathers and mothers and the
Hmm.
saints and so many others who their way of connecting with God was through not knowing, by laying aside their thoughts.
Yes.
In fact, there's one desert father by the name of Evagrius Ponticus
Hmm.
who defines prayer as the laying aside of thoughts. And then I realized, wait a second, this unknowing in regards to like the big existential questions, why am I stopping there? Why do I feel so certain
Hmm.
about the way that I'm judging this person or the way that I'm interpreting this situation or
Hmm.
this narrative that I have kept telling myself for years about what happened to me? What if what if I wasn't so sure anymore? What if I can step into this wide expanse of not knowing and find God
Yes.
in expansiveness, in that
Yes.
still? And I hope this makes sense, but I'm trying to just convey like
Yes.
what experience has been with all of this.
Yes.
So um that was kind of the shift that happened for me. There was another moment too where I was watching this scientist do an interview. I think his name was Brian Cox, and he kept talking about the fact that, meaning is a human thing. And he's like, if this universe has billions and billions of galaxies that each have billions and billions of planets,
Hmm.
well, let's just say, right? Let's just say they're not inhabited, and let's say there's no other life.
Yeah.
Then does meaning exist anywhere else other than
Mm.
here and in our minds?
Mm.
So that that had me reflecting and thinking, oh my goodness, wait a second. This is really depressing. Are you saying that there's no inherent meaning in this universe?
Yeah.
If meaning is just something that we as human beings fabricate?
Sure.
And it kind of depressed me.
Yep.
I was like, meaningless? That's depressing, dude.
Yeah.
Then I don't know how. It's just something clicked in me. Literally the spirit of
Yes.
God illuminating me. And I realized as I was sitting there with myself, wait a second. Why is the fact that the universe is meaningless depressing me? That means I'm making meaninglessness mean something.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
Because if it's actually meaningless, then no meaning,
Yeah.
right? But
Yes.
here I'm making it mean something bad.
Yes. Yes.
And that was like another explosion within me that helped me to realize, wow, I like my mental filters create my experience of reality.
Yes.
And so that led me down a path of taking ownership now and radical responsibility for the way that I was experiencing this world
Hmm.
based on what I was thinking and believing about the world and about
Hmm.
others and about myself and about God.
Hmm.
So kind of felt like it's very empowering, like I was able to get my sovereignty back. Anyways, so that's a little bit about the deconstruction thing, but
Yep.
how did I still keep Jesus in all of this? Well, I'm
Hmm.
going to be honest. I've always kept Jesus with me, but Christianity I've wanted to do away with for
Mm.
years, you
Sure.
know, because there have been times where I'm like genuinely with myself sitting there and asking myself, how does this label benefit me?
Yep.
Is this doing more damage than good?
Mm.
Do I want all of the assumptions that come with Christianity, church, and pastor? Is that going to be a hindrance to the work that I'm here to do?
Hmm.
Or can that be an aid in some way? And
Yep.
it has been a like many year process of wrestling with that question because uh I I have genuinely, you know, just had just this, I don't know how to describe it. It's like this tension with the label.
Yep.
You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
Me too.
Um, Now, over the last maybe 2, 3 years, I have come to inhabit
Hmm.
the label and my role as a pastor and even calling Heartway a church.
Wow.
For a while, I was just like, hey, we're a spiritual community.
Hmm.
And yeah, we're a church, but we're not going to call it that because it just comes with too much baggage.
Yeah.
So, and which is fine. Like I oscillate between the two, depending on who I'm talking to and what I think will be more relevant. But
Yep.
it's, I have been re-inhabiting and getting more comfortable again in my Christian skin. And part of what has helped me do that, number one, is seeing other Christians do it.
Mm.
It's like, hey, a lot of the people that I am inspired by
Yep.
within Christianity, authors and theologians and teachers, they know that they have a minority view, or they know that they're kind of on the edge of the inside, but
Yes.
they're still choosing to be inside.
I know it.
And for me, the main reason has come down to people and community.
Yep.
That's that's the number one reason why Christianity and church are still meaningful to me,
Mm.
because in my life, at least, the way that this whole thing has been set up to this point, not that
Yep.
things can't change, it's like
Sure.
so much of my community is centered around Christianity and church.
Yep.
And there's plenty of people. I mean, my congregation is filled with people that I want to be in relationship with,
Yep.
and this is a point of significance that unites us and brings us together.
Yeah.
I will also say I started to get a little more like I don't know if the right word is like proud. I'll have to find a better word, but I started to like own Jesus a lot more.
Hmm.
And I started hearing a whole bunch of like non-dual teachers
Hmm.
who are not Christians
Hmm.
talking about Jesus.
Yes.
I was like,
Sure.
it's like, wait a second, dude. Wait, that's my guy. Wait a
Yeah.
second. I've been hanging with him. And if you're talking about him and you're
Yep.
bringing out these incredible truths from his
Hmm.
life story and from the scriptures, how much more so should I?
Yes. Wow.
You and so as I kind of have gone on my wilderness journey and explored the teachings of people even outside of Christianity,
Sure.
I came across people speaking about Jesus and teaching about Jesus in ways that were so compelling, and they weren't even Christian.
Yep.
So I was like,
Mm.
this is there's something here.
Yeah. What would be one of those maybe particular Jesus teachings or stories that have become just so sacred to you in this second half of your spirituality as you're continuing to hold the teachings of Jesus so close? Um, what's a particular story or parable or piece of the holy text that you hold dear?
It's hard to narrow it down. I would say probably the image that stands out to me the most is Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane praying to the Father and saying, "Not my will, but your will be done."
Mm. Hmm.
Those words are imprinted in my soul,
Wow.
and for me, they encapsulate the whole of spirituality and faith, and it's about radical acceptance in the face of suffering,
Yeah.
and it's about moving beyond our own limited understanding to trust in the bigger picture that we can't always see.
Wow. Hmm.
And so that's the main,
Hmm.
really the main
Yeah.
thing I think sticks out to me if I had to pick
Yeah.
one.
Sure. Sure.
Um,
You know what's interesting about that too is that that's a you were talking about letting go of certainty and
mhm,
how that was such an important piece, and in many ways that's Jesus modeling that. Your will is beyond mine. Like there's a piece to that where he's letting go of not just even control, but even knowing what the will is. Like there's
yeah.
not clarity that Jesus even knows what God's will is in its
Mhm,
totality. I'm sure
mhm.
he knew to some degree. I mean, there was obviously prophecy and there was a path forward, but there still was a letting go of control and clarity as he says that.
Yes. And that letting go, that's
Yeah.
it's all of life for me.
Hmm. Um, since you said the word, and then we'll move along to some other stuff. You
Yeah.
said the word suffering,
Mm,
and it's something we can't escape. Suffering is a big reason why people would want to completely abandon spirituality or the thought of divinity at all. And I
mm.
know I'm putting your feet to the fire here. But this wouldn't be a good podcast if I didn't, I suppose. Um, how do you handle suffering? Oh, by the way, you work in a hospital, and you see that, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Talk to me about suffering. How has suffering enabled your spirituality to expand? How do you maintain a belief in a God when there is suffering in the cosmos?
Mm,
How do you hold that? How do you handle that? What would
yeah,
your words be as we hold suffering near?
my goodness. Well, I have made a distinction in my life between what I call necessary suffering
Mm-hmm.
and optional suffering.
Yep.
I don't think most of us realize
Mm-hmm.
how much of our suffering is truly optional.
Yes. Hmm.
And it comes down to the way we are choosing to relate to the events and occurrences of our
Hmm.
everyday life,
Hmm.
the way that I'm choosing to interpret, the way that I am judging,
Hmm.
the assumptions that I am making, the narratives that I'm telling myself.
Hmm.
Okay, that's where optional suffering comes from
Hmm.
because there's the event,
Hmm.
there's whatever occurs,
Hmm.
and there's what you're thinking and believing about it. And
Yes.
without what you're thinking and believing about it,
Hmm.
what you're experiencing may not be nearly as bad
Hmm.
as
Yes.
you're making it out to be. It would certainly be more endurable.
Yep.
So we can do something about all of the optional suffering that we bring on ourselves.
Yep.
Now, the necessary suffering we can't escape because to be human is to suffer,
Hmm.
right? Like we will experience loss, we will experience betrayal, we will
Yes.
experience heartache, we will experience death, we will
Hmm.
experience decay, we
Hmm.
will experience sickness, and so these aren't things to be avoided. They're actually like rites of passage that
Wow.
introduce us to uh, newer iterations of ourselves if
Mm.
allow them to,
Yep. Yes.
if we allow them to. If my approach is, God, show me
Mm.
how you are at work here.
Yes.
God, show me who I am. God, reveal to me the wisdom that is embedded
Yes.
in this right here, right now. Show
Mm.
me.
Mm.
Then that suffering, to use a popular term, gets alchemized, and we're able
Hmm.
to transform it from lead into gold. And
Yes.
that is the way that we co-create with God in this universe.
Wow.
We cannot control what happens to us, but once it happens, what are we going to do with it? And when you understand that some suffering is necessary, you don't overlay on top of that more optional suffering. You just deal with what is,
Hmm.
and then you take what is and you squeeze out of it
Hmm.
everything that can be good and beneficial
Hmm.
for you and for the collective.
Wow.
And it takes us having the discipline of learning how to spin it all to our advantage. Because for those of us who follow Jesus, if we believe that God is for us, not against us, and that nothing happens to us in life, but is there for
Hmm.
our evolution, then whatever it is that we're facing,
Hmm.
there's a way that I can utilize this
Hmm.
to help me become a more expansive and
Wow.
mature version of myself.
Wow.
But that's on me.
Yes.
That's on me.
Yes.
And so uh, it's that's how I relate to suffering, and that's how suffering.
Yeah.
That's the work that I do with suffering there, and that's available to all of us.
Yes. Oh, that's so good.
Available to all of us. Now, when it comes to suffering with others,
Mm.
especially in the work that I do as a hospital chaplain,
Yep.
well, my job is not to go in there and tell them any of this stuff.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean? Because it's
Yes.
like we go through this journey, and we figure out how we want to relate to suffering, and how and what works for us and how we get through it, and then we want to push that onto everyone else
Yep.
when they may not even be ready,
Yes.
nor may they even want it.
Yep. Totally.
So
Yeah.
so
Oh.
so so my job as a pastor, as a chaplain, but forget those titles. Our
Mm-hmm.
job as good human beings,
Mm-hmm.
being friends with other human beings,
Mm-hmm.
is to simply be present and to witness, to be a witness to people in their suffering
Yep.
without trying to fix them or change them, but to
Mm-hmm.
be able to hold them. Because I'm sure a lot of us can say that we've had experiences where we've gone through stuff in life,
Yeah.
like really hard, dark stuff in our life. And
Mm-hmm.
there's certain people close to us who they don't even, it's like that never happened. They don't want to bring that up. They don't want to talk about it. It's like a taboo subject
Yep.
that we never talk on again,
Mm-hmm.
because suffering can be awkward and it's hard to deal with the emotions that come out, and it's difficult, and we get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some of us have acted that way towards others have acted that way towards us. Well, when you stop fearing suffering because you see the way that wisdom emerges from suffering always,
Yes.
you're not afraid of it anymore. And when you begin to learn how to deal with suffering in your life, you don't like feel bad for other people when they're suffering. You're actually able to, you can see the crumbling.
Yep.
And it's like this song that we sing at Heartway. Um, um, where I see ruins, you see foundations.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like you see the ruins,
Yes.
but you know that's not the whole story, and they may
Yes.
not know. But I'm able to hold space for whatever they bring to the table here,
Yep. Mm.
and just be there with, and
Yes.
to affirm and to validate and to love.
Hmm.
And man, if we had more people doing that.
Yeah. Which, by the way, requires no doctrine.
That's right.
It requires no certainty to
That,
do that.
that's right.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's right. That's right.
Um, you've mentioned your work as a chaplain. You've mentioned this mysterious place called Heartway. I don't want to take up too many more hours of your time, but would you be willing to share with us a little bit vocationally what your life looks like, what your work looks like, in terms of the work that Danny Prada does?
Yeah. Well, I'm a full-time hospital chaplain, so that's 40 hours a week. Takes a lot of time. And then as soon as I get out of the hospital, I've got calls, I've got meetings. I also officiate weddings. So there's always stuff going
Hmm.
on. Everything I do is revolved around just being a pastor. So it's cool because I feel like I just get paid to be myself in the world, which is such
Yes.
it's a gift that I don't take for granted. But aside from all of that stuff that's always happening, there is the church, the community that I started almost 10 years ago called
Wow.
Heartway. And Heartway, we describe ourselves as a contemplative spiritual community centered on love
Hmm.
because this notion of contemplative spirituality or contemplative Christianity means moving beyond the intellectual to the experiential. So the focus is less on getting people to believe the right things and more on helping people taste and see for themselves that God is good and that God is within them. And so
Yes.
we practice uh, centering prayer every
Hmm.
week as a community. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of my teachings are pointing people back to themselves,
Hmm.
right? Don't take me as this like authority figure that has all of the answers.
Yes.
And what I say, test it out for yourself.
Hmm.
Let's talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You are your own teacher on this path. And so to help people take that ownership again and to be able to listen to
Hmm.
them, to their heart, to their intuitive knowledge
Yes.
is a big part about what I do. And at Heartway, uh, something that I love about our unique expression of church is that we are intentional about being a space for everybody.
Mm.
And we actually mean everybody when we say everybody.
Yes.
So, regardless of your sexual orientation or your religious or political preference or the color of your skin or
Hmm.
where you are in terms of the social hierarchies of our day, whether
Yes.
you have a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money, we've got people within our community all over these spectrums and we
Hmm.
come together as one,
Hmm.
as one.
Hmm.
And that to me is beautiful. It's very difficult to actually live this out long term consistently because we are so deeply ingrained in our opinions and
Yes.
positionality.
Hmm.
And so the work that we constantly find ourselves doing, and that I think is my task, speaking from that stage week in and week out, is to help people hold their beliefs and opinions just a little more loosely. I tell them, hold your beliefs with an open hand instead of a
Hmm.
closed fist.
Yeah.
Have your opinions, have your beliefs,
Hmm.
but don't be a jerk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Most of us, we want to pound people over the head with our beliefs and our opinions and our viewpoints. But if we can learn how to be generous in the way that we offer what we see, and
Yes.
if we can learn to be open towards others and what they are offering to us, maybe
Mm.
maybe instead of trying to convince that other person that I'm right, I can learn something from them.
Yes.
What a thought. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
What a
Maybe
thought.
maybe the Democrat can learn something from a Republican. Maybe the Republican can learn something from the Democrat. Maybe
Yeah.
the really conservative theological dude can learn something from the more liberal
Hmm.
theological, and we'll figure that out. Yeah. So
Yes.
um,
Mm.
I am focused on mature human functioning.
Yes. Wow.
And that word mature is in
Hmm.
our scriptures.
Hmm.
We find it in the New Testament where we're told to to become mature in the teachings of Christ,
Hmm.
to move past infancy towards maturity.
Hmm.
Because the more mature we become, the more we're willing to make room for ambiguity, for paradox,
Yes.
for disagreement, for discussion, for difference.
Hmm.
And that's what's needed. People who are able to be deeply rooted in what they see as true,
Yes.
also totally open to the other who
Hmm.
may not see it that way.
Yes.
And so we're trying this experiment at Heartway.
Yep.
And what brings us all together is practically is hey, a Jesus-centered spirituality.
Yeah.
That's what we come down to. So at Heartway, I say Jesus is our foundation, and on that foundation, we have our pillars. We are inclusive, we're pluralistic, we're non-dogmatic, we're communal, and we're
Hmm.
proud.
Hmm.
And that's how we do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Um, how's it working?
It's working, and it's not easy, it's hard. Some people, they have to check out. Some people, they're like, it's too far for me, and
Hmm.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Other people are like, man, this is opening up, this is opening me up in ways I never would have imagined.
Yes.
But something that I've said to folks before, when we're sitting around a table and someone comes with a strong viewpoint and someone else comes with a strong viewpoint, but we're still there
Yep.
having dinner together,
Hmm.
I tell folks, hey, this right here, this is the miracle of Heartway.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we just had this hard conversation,
Hmm.
we land on two different places when it comes to this important issue.
Yes.
But we're not letting that get in the way of our human to human connection. We're not
Yes.
letting that get in the way of relationship with one another.
Yes.
And that in itself is a miracle. So we see those miraculous moments happen all the time.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
Um, your doctorate is in like when you studied, if I remember correctly, you studied like the new ways in which spiritual communities are forming. I'm sure I'm butchering your fancy language, but we
Mhm.
haven't even talked about it. But you have your doctorate. You're not just winging it here. You're not just pulling stuff out of nowhere. You studied it, and now you're practicing it, which, by the way, is something I admire so much about you. Right? Is that you studied this, you went to school, Fuller Seminary, you've got your doctorate talking about alternative and evolving spiritual communities, and now you're friggin' doing it,
Mhm.
which means you really know it, by the way, right? You really know it. Speak just for a few moments into the evolution of spiritual communities. I mean, I'm sure people ask you all the time, how do you do it? It's so different. If you were to speak to the landscape of spiritual community, I mean, I think for what it's worth, the more our lives get automated, the more isolated we become. I personally think religion and spiritual groups and communities is only going to expand. People are going to try to find more meaning. The less we have to work, I think,
Mhm.
right, because of AI and stuff, we're going to have to find meaning in more places.
Mhm.
And I think spiritual communities, and I won't get off on that rabbit trail, but tell me, like, how do you perceive spiritual communities evolving? How are they evolving in healthy ways? What is problematic in them? Like, I mean, I work at a little bit more of a traditional church than you, but like, how do you see the future of spiritual communities evolving? What needs to change? Give us your expertise kind of on that topic.
Yeah.
Just you being the resident expert around here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm reminded of that saying from Karl Rahner,
Hmm.
where it says that the Christian of the future will either be a mystic or nothing at all.
Yep.
We can also say the Christian community of the future will
Hmm.
either be mystical or nothing at all.
Hmm.
Christianity has um, an information overload problem
Yep.
where
Hmm.
it's about knowing the right things in your
Hmm.
head and
Yep.
then making sure everybody else in the community checks off that list
Yep.
and say all of the right buzzwords,
Hmm.
and then you're in.
Hmm.
And life, of course, is just a secondary matter. You know,
Yes.
this is a funny story. It's kind of unrelated,
Mhm.
but related. Um, Recently I was working at a Christian university, my alma mater, actually, where I got my undergrad, in Palm Beach. And I was helping them start up a new chaplaincy program. Well, there was somebody in the school who just kind of took some issues with my church and the way that we approach things, and maybe some of
Mhm.
my theological stances and
Yep.
things of that sort. And that got back to HR, and they kind of quizzed me on like some important doctrinal stuff, because this is a more evangelical school. And I failed the test. Yeah, I failed the test, didn't pass. So they were like, dude, we gotta let you go. And I said, okay, I understand. It is what it is, right? But as I was being let go,
Yep.
the individual letting me go says to me, Danny, I just want to tell you, man, I commend you, because the way that you have responded to all of this has been so Christ-like.
Yes. Yes.
No, so I said thank you, but
Hmm.
as I left that office, in my head, I was thinking to myself, wait a second, whoa, what's going on? Are you telling me that I just got let go from a Christian institution
Hmm.
while being told that I was being Christ-like?
Yes. Yes.
So what are we doing here?
Yes.
If that's not the whole purpose and point,
Yes.
what are we doing here?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell
Hmm.
you why that wasn't enough. Because,
Hmm.
hey, you didn't dot your doctrinal I's and cross your doctrinal T's.
Yes.
And if you don't believe to the T all of the right
Wow.
things that you're supposed to believe as a
Hmm.
Christian,
Hmm.
then we don't even know if you're really a Christian.
Yep.
You don't belong here. And so, hey, that exists in academic institutions where pastors get trained and then start churches
Yep.
that also follow a similar ethos.
Yes.
So that's problematic, number
Hmm.
one. And there
Hmm.
has to be a shift and a turn
Mm.
from, from a head centered faith to a heart centered faith,
Yes.
where we make the main thing the main thing. But
Hmm.
of course, we don't like that, because love is way too expansive.
Yeah.
Christianity can't commodify love.
Hmm.
And love is not just Christian. There's no such thing as just Christian love or Muslim love or Jewish love or atheist love. Love is love, because it transcends all those categories. We can't control love. So, not going to work. Okay.
Mm.
So, there's that issue too. Then there's also the issue of like a performance based kind of a
Hmm.
churchianity,
Yep.
where we think coming together in community is about putting our best foot forward and putting our best face on and
Hmm.
wearing Sunday best, and we're polished and we're clean
Yep.
and we're holier than thou and we're self-righteous. And that can happen so easily.
Yes.
And then it doesn't help that so many of our expressions of church are also very performative in nature. It's
Yep.
really more about a production
Hmm.
than it is about the presence of God. And when something is not fully authentic, you
Mm.
can feel that.
Yes.
You can feel that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But a lot of us don't know how to discern the difference between authentic and inauthentic out there, because we haven't discerned the difference in here.
Yeah. Hmm.
So we think the inauthentic is actually authentic,
Yep.
and it's not. And so what does it look like? And it starts, of course, with the leader and leaders
Sure.
being fully human, being their authentic selves,
Mm.
bringing that into the
So good.
communities,
Yeah.
and then not having this checklist that people have to abide by in order to belong, to let people have this fluidity in the way that they grow and the way that they shift their
Yes.
mindsets and beliefs and understanding. So there's one theologian I really love and admire, also a friend. His name's Trip Fuller.
Hmm.
He he wrote this book on Christology, and for the theology nerds who are familiar with this kind of language, you have a Christology from above, a Christology from below. A Christology from below seeks to make claims about Jesus that start from his humanity.
Mm,
Christology from above seeks to make claims about Jesus from the foundation of his divinity.
mm,
Well, Tripp Fuller talks about a Christology from within.
yes. Mm,
And what he means by that is, hey, when Jesus was with Peter and Peter was asking Jesus who he was,
mm,
Jesus asked Peter the question, who do you say that I am? All these people say that I'm this, those people say that I'm that. Who do you say that I am?
mm,
And it was out of Peter's own experience of Jesus that his claims about who he was
yes.
came. In the
So good.
same way, what if instead of telling people, hey, if you want to belong in this church, you need to believe Jesus is God.
Yep.
If you want to belong in this church, you need to believe Jesus is the second person of the Trinity, and you better be able to explain the Trinity in full detail,
Hmm.
okay? And don't say something heretical, all
Hmm.
right? No, it's like, hey, what if we allowed people to develop their Christology from within, out of their experience of Christ in and through the body of Christ and in and through
Yes.
their own encounters with the Christ, and then see where people's relationship with
Yes.
Christ evolves into.
So good, bro. Oh,
Making room for diversity and
yes.
different distinction, not rushing people to have to believe certain things, focusing on lifestyle and practice.
Hmm.
Those are all just key components to what I think the
Yes.
next shift and iteration of spiritual community is going to be.
So
Now,
good.
I I will say I'm not very optimistic about that shift happening in a grand way anytime soon.
Mm,
But the
mm,
spirit and the wind of the spirit blows where it will, when it
yes.
will,
Yes.
at least in this little corner of the universe and in a few other pockets that I know just from my own connections. I see that wind blowing and these
Yep.
communities popping up and offering alternative forms
Yep.
of church. So
Yep. What you got time for like two more questions?
yeah, man.
Um so let's say there's somebody listening to this podcast that says something about that feels true. That's a lot of big words. I don't know how to start inward. I only know how to start with my head. And everything you were just saying too, it makes me think of, maybe one of my favorite Roar quotes, which is, you can't think yourself into new ways of living. You have to live yourself into new ways of thinking. I think back to, I'm about to run a 30-mile race in a couple weeks. And, one of the things I say is like, I didn't become somebody who can run 30 miles by reading books about how to run 30 miles. And it didn't start also by running 30 miles. I started by running a block and, running at 5K and a 10K. We have to do it. And so, okay, maybe we understand that logically here. How would you, Danny, coach someone to say, okay, this is one of the first things you could practice. This is one of the first authors you could read. This is, but even that, like, I just go right to reading and learning. How do we practice this actually? How do we start the inward journey of spiritual formation through a lived experience rather than one that's just purely intellectual?
Yeah. Well, essentially, what we're doing is studying the book of ourselves.
Hmm.
So, what if you took that approach where you were like a scientist and you were able to look at your life as a project and you had to view and observe yourself from an objective place?
Yes.
Start there, right? Don't judge what you see or what comes up.
Hmm.
Just be honest about
Hmm.
what's there
Hmm.
from an objective standpoint,
So good.
right? And begin to pay attention to what comes up for you.
Yes.
Um, your emotions will be the best indicators to you of where you can begin your journey of self study, self observation, self awareness, self acceptance,
Yep.
leading to actualization. Okay, your emotions. So pay attention to your reactions.
Yep.
If we do that, you will have more work.
Yep. Sure. So
You
good.
won't have to open a book for a while.
Yep. Oh, I
Pay
love that.
attention to your reactions.
Yeah.
What 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 is it that brings out a reaction in you? A comment someone says, maybe things not going your way throughout the day.
Hmm.
Pay attention to those reactions
Hmm.
and then curious about those emotions
Yep.
and try and get to the root of where that is coming from and take full responsibility for
Mm.
the way that you are experiencing life.
So good.
Okay, so instead of blaming other people, this was a big shift for me. Another like major moment that I could have talked about other than my deconstruction
Hmm.
was when I was married.
Mm.
I went through such a transformative experience
Hmm.
in my marriage when I realized, wait a second, she is not really my problem here.
Hmm.
I am my own problem.
Mm. Hmm.
Because if you're in a relationship for a while, you can't seem to find peace and harmony. I, I'm somebody that, again, I'm devoted to truth.
Hmm.
And there came a point in time where peace became my highest priority.
Hmm.
And I realized that if I want peace, I have to stop making other people responsible for it.
Mm. Hmm.
Okay? Because if they can give me peace, they can take it away.
Yep.
And that began the journey of total self-responsibility.
Yes.
Right. And I learned that in that container of marriage. And even though that didn't end up working out, it was still one of the most transformative
Yes.
catalysts for growth in my life because I got to a point where I was forced
Wow.
to look within myself for answers.
Yes.
And so treat it like a game. Make peace your highest priority every day.
Wow.
And notice and pay attention to your reactions throughout the day. And instead of blaming other people for getting you out of peace,
Mm-hmm.
blaming exterior circumstance for moving you out of peace, bring it back to what it actually is, which is the way that you are perceiving and relating to the person or situation at hand.
Yeah. Mm.
Deal with that. And that's just something that then continues moment to moment, day by day, the
So
interior journey.
yes. So good.
Fun part
Um,
is there's always more stuff that's going to come up.
always. So much. Um, I can't close out the podcast. I've asked you to speak into this some, but this is the Tyler Hill podcast, so we have to touch it. Um, Tell me about belovedness. What does belovedness mean to you? What does that word invoke in you as I wrap up our podcast today? How does belovedness fit into this? How have you discovered it? What does that mean to you?
Oh, what belovedness means to me is that God loves me and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, so good. I love it.
There's just
I
nothing.
love it.
I can't demote myself from that status.
Hmm.
I can't fail my way out of it.
Hmm.
I can't blow it and screw it up. Doesn't
Yep.
matter how bad I blow it and screw it up. I'm
Yep.
still God's beloved.
Yes. Yes.
It is the core of my identity.
Hmm.
And out of that, everything else in life flows. Yeah. So
Yes.
once you understand that you are loved,
Hmm.
and then you give yourself the gift of loving yourself,
Hmm.
okay, I perceive of receiving God's love and loving myself as the same thing.
Hmm.
Okay, because we can say God loves us,
Yep.
God loves me, and we still feel so much guilt and shame.
Yep. Yep.
Because even though God's forgiven us, we have not forgiven ourselves. We have not truly received and internalized that forgiveness and that love.
Yep.
So the way we receive it is actually by gifting it to ourselves.
Hmm. So good.
So we receive the love of God by gifting it to ourselves. And once you live within this identity of belovedness and you understand that your worth and your
Hmm.
value and your significance as God's beloved is not based on what you do or don't do,
Yes.
that means you're free to be yourself.
Hmm.
You're free to fall.
Hmm.
You're free to fail. You're free to get it wrong. You're free to be.
Yes.
And it all becomes lessons for you along the way instead of points of regret and deep guilt and shame that trap you and imprison you in a
Hmm.
past version of yourself.
Yes.
It all just becomes lessons and insights. And because I'm not trying to portray this image of myself that I am not, because
Hmm.
I'm love it and I'm able to be authentically myself,
Yes.
then it's okay when I fail and when I stumble and
Yes.
when I don't get it right. And
Hmm.
it's okay if other people see me as a screw up. I'd much rather you see me as a screw up than as a holy man.
Yes. Wow.
Because I'm not going to live up to that standard the way
Yes.
that you probably think I should.
Yep. Yes. So
so
good.
so I get it when
Hmm.
the apostle Paul was like, I'm the worst of all sinners.
Hmm.
Why would he call himself that? It's not like a guilt thing.
Hmm.
It's like, you know what? Even if you're the saintliest of saints,
Yes.
why not just hide in that identity of being the worst of sinners?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just better. So you're going to be more humble and you're
Hmm.
going to be more honest.
Hmm.
You know,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. So and
Mm.
so that's how belovedness
Mm.
transforms things for me. It's a transformation at the level of identity.
Hmm.
Um, helps me no longer live for approval or for acceptance.
Mm.
Just leave room for radical authenticity,
Yes. Bringing
freedom.
it full circle to that masculinity we talked at the beginning, which was being yourself, freedom to
Freedom.
be ourselves.
Yeah.
Danny, where can the people find you? Where can they find your teachings? Where can they consume all of your information that we've talked about that is so important?
Yeah.
But yeah, where can they find you? Where can they support you? Where's the need to know? And of course, I'll put this all in the show notes as well.
Yeah. Well, Instagram's an easy place at D underscore Prada, Prada, heartwaychurch.com. You can find our weekly teachings on YouTube. Just search Heartway Church, or you can also find us on Spotify or Apple. You can also download the Heartway Church app. All the teachings are there.
Whoa,
And yeah,
nice. Love it. Danny, this
Facebook.
has been so good, dude. I'm overwhelmed with just joy that my people are going to get to hear this. I can't wait to do this again. I can't wait to visit Florida. I can't wait for you to
Yes.
come to Colorado. Man, I'm just smiling from ear to ear. I love you, bro. I'm just so thankful you exist in this world. And yeah, let's keep going, okay?
Got it, man. Love you too.
All
Thanks
right.
for real.
My pleasure. Talk soon.
Mhm.